Hey, everybody, I'm Johnathan Judge, and you're watching a podcast that's full of love and pride. Welcome to Nostalgia Pride Podcast, and it's showtime.
Welcome back to another episode of Nostalgia Pride Podcast. I'm your host, Allison Clark, and, and as always, I'm excited you guys are here with me today, and also just in time, my co-host Stephanie is here with me, and so today's guest is a director and also a exclusive producer known for his work in Lazytown, the Fresh Beat Band, Big Time Rush, and so much more. Everyone welcome Johnathan Judge. Man, Johnathan, thank you so much for coming on our show. We are so happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Allison and Stephanie. This is great.
So there's so many different directions that we want to go here, and there's so much to talk about. So to start off, where are you from, and what was your background like?
I grew up in Long Island, New York, and I'm the youngest of seven. I have seven brothers and sisters, and I grew up with parents who were teachers and didn't know anything about filmmaking or that was even a possibility as a career. So I figured that out in college and graduate school. Sometimes it's going to age me, but in the early 90s.
Wow.
You know that me and Stephanie are both from New York too.
Yep.
Really? What part? Where are you guys?
Oh well, I'm from Queens, New York, and Stephanie, the area of New York that you're in is located in what part of New York, like Valley Stream, Long Island?
No, I live in Queens.
Oh,
You're in Queens too. All right.
Mhm.
My dad grew up in Queens in Elmhurst.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so when you first got involved with with directing stuff for Nick Jr., so in seasons 1 and 2 of Lazytown, you directed 12 episodes.
Actually, probably even more. My first job ever was Blue's Clues.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
All right, let's talk about Blue Schools first, and then we'll segue to Lazytown.
Because it actually led there. Yeah, it's a good way. So my first job ever directing for kids was for Blue's Clues, and I had known a woman. We were working in independent film together. I was a location manager while I was trying to get jobs as a director. She was a production coordinator, and she ended up being one of the big producers on Blue's Clues. But it was just this small little experiment, and it was the only show I knew. So I sent them my resume and my reel, and I got on that show, which, I mean, I got to reboot it in 2023 with Josh. 2020 with Josh. Steve and Donovan, Joe and Steve were in my wedding, lifelong friends.
Wow.
So I didn't go out saying, oh, I want to be in kids TV, but I loved that show. And that show at that time was green screen and very hard because people hadn't done much green screen before. So it was a tricky show to make look like that. But I have lifelong friends from that. And that segues into Lazytown because I worked for Nick Jr. They had bought a show, Lazytown, from Magnus Scheving, who is an Icelandic. He's Sporticus, but he's the creator of the show. And they were shooting in Iceland, and they wanted me to produce on it. It's a really hard show. So it was stunt people and puppets and giant sets and Unreal Engine, even way back then. And that was 2004. And I was like, no, I'd like to direct on it. But they had a bunch of Muppet directors, great directors. And I just kept saying, well, I'd really like to try and be a director on this. And one day in August of 2004, they flew me over for an experimental test. And after 2 days, they were like, okay, you're going to be here. And I ended up being there That was August. I didn't finish up till January. I was there working on that. And then I went back in 2006 again. So I ended up directing about 25 to 30 of them, but I Magnus and I were the only two directors. So if he was working on a script, I was directing for him, and they would call me up on a Saturday at 5 a.m. and saying Magnus has to go on a trip and you come in. So that was the best. Lazytown was still the hardest job I've ever done and the most rewarding because we just did some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And speaking of puppets, you did Blues Room as well. You directed Blues Room.
I did. That was between good call, Stephanie. That was between Blues Clues, Lazytown, and Blues Room were kind of all happening around the same time, and that was a lot of some of the puppeteers on Blues Room were in Lazytown too.
Yes, and
yeah, because since I remember it, quite a few of the Lazytown episodes that you directed. You directed Zap It, Double Trouble,
Mm-hmm.
Lazytown's new superhero. You also directed the Once Upon a Time episode.
That was a fun one, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that one was really interesting. I thought, yeah. So that one was really interesting and also very funny too.
The storybook elements of that was great. Like, how do we make that book come alive and do? And that whole show shot in Iceland, which was so great, which is an amazing country. But we were in it was an old warehouse that they had converted into a studio, but it was in the middle of a lava field, not a hot lava field. Like most of Iceland is old lava. So like it was a parking lot, and then you walked out and it was just lava rocks everywhere around you. It was like working on the moon.
Wow.
It's too bad that the studio is gone because because remember the studio caught on fire.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And there's been an eruption this week again. There's been 12 eruptions in like 5 years. The first one, while I was there in 2004, there was an eruption. Not the same volcano. Another volcano erupted. So yeah, Iceland is for real. It's still bubbling and boiling and becoming Earth.
yeah.
And also speaking of working on Nick Jr., a few months ago, it just so happens that I was talking with Hillary Hawkins and Travis Gulba. Yes. So did you see that episode?
I did, so that was really fun because I was doing a show called You Pick Live on Nickelodeon, which was between 5 and 7. Kids got to pick what shows they watch, what challenges the host did, what questions they asked the celebrities, and we were live every day, like 5 to 7, which was crazy. And in the summer, we were off, and they wanted to do not a live show, but something similar that had 2 hosts in between the Nick Jr. programming called Play Along, right? That was the name of the show, so that kids would feel like they were playing with Travis and Hillary. And so that's where I met, again, Travis, lifelong friend. Hillary's amazing. Travis and I have tried to work on some projects together since, and he's also really good at computers, which he wouldn't tell you, and he will help me with my computer all the time when I need it. But that was fun, and that had puppeteers, Joey Mazzarino.
Oh yeah, Word of Sesame Street.
Yep, Joey was the head writer of Sesame Street. He's Word on the Street. He's all that.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And Heather was one of the original Trixie on Lazytown.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also
She was also the puppeteer for that voice on Splash and Bubbles.
Yep. Yes. Heather's great puppeteer. Her voices are so darn good and funny, and Joey too. Joey was at my wedding. Joey is a lifelong friend, So I've been very lucky that the people I've worked with, I've become great friends with. I mean, we have similar likes, right? We like funny storytelling. We like movies. We love kids, and we like making programs for kids. So you get bonded on a set, and Joey, I'm pretty sure Joey and a guy named Adam Peltzman When Magnus was getting the Lazytown show together, he brought a bunch of puppeteers and writers together in Iceland to brainstorm, and I'm pretty sure Joey was there. He didn't go over because he was on Sesame Street, like he couldn't just go live in Iceland for a year. And Adam too. Adam was the head writer of Blue's Clues, and then Backyardigans, and then created is it Ali Shazam? What's the show that Adam created about the Goblin? That's gonna bug me, but I'll find it right now. But anyway, that we all Magnus had reached out to all the like top people in kids programming, and so we all kind of know Magnus and have had connections with Magnus. So, let's Backyardigans. I'm just gonna. I mean, Adam's done everything. Wally Kazam, sorry, that was the show he created. But Odd and the Backyardigans, and he's worked on everything. He's awesome.
Yeah, and you know that me and Stephanie talk about Janice Burgess a lot on this show.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have like a conversation with her?
I did not cross paths with Janice. I mean, I think I've been in the same room with Janice at some point, but no, I didn't have that. That was one person I didn't connect with. Everyone I knew had worked with her. And the choreographer from the Backyardigans worked with me on a few different things, and I worked with her. But I didn't have that connection with Janice, but every single person who has worked with her, just talked about how wonderful she was as a person, but obviously she was a great storyteller and creator too.
You know that.
Yeah, I mean, the day that she passed, I mean, when the news broke out, I mean, since I got the news at 4 p.m. and then, and yeah, and of course, shout out to Stephanie for telling me what had happened. Because how I got the news is, since I was video chatting with my boyfriend, and then all of a sudden I get this message saying that I'm not going to be happy about something. Won't be happy about this, and I'm like, what am I not going to be happy about? And then there it was. Yeah, because Stephanie knows full well that I am a very, very big Backyardigans fan.
Such a fun show, and
really fun.
dancers and the choreographer, and it was great. I mean, Nick Jr. has done so many good shows, right? Like that are just a part. They last so long. I mean, Blue's Clues still on the air, 30 years later, which is crazy, but it's awesome.
So in 2012, you also directed some stuff for for Fred 3 and Camp Fred. What was that like? So what was your experience like working with Lucas?
Lucas is awesome.
Yeah, he is.
So Lucas, one of the first kind of YouTube stars, right? People, the circle is so short that people don't realize that this has been going on since then, right?
Yeah.
I first heard of Fred because my nephew, who I think was 8 at the time, just was like, these are the funniest videos. I thought, oh, that guy's pretty funny. He should have a show. I thought it and did nothing about it. And then Brian Robbins, who is now one of the CEOs of Paramount, he had a company called Varsity Pictures. He made the first Fred movie, and it was really successful. And then they made the second. I was doing Super Ninjas with Brian.
Oh, yeah, I heard of that.
It was a great show. I was doing that at Nickelodeon. Brian was the executive producer of that. And I was working on that just when he started what is now called Awesomeness. But it was a channel that was going to be kid-related and influencer. They weren't called influencers right then, right? So it was YouTubers and people who were making vines and short content. He said, hey, would you like to do this show, Fred the Show? So we did Fred the Show. I think they were 12-minute episodes. I think we did like 24. It was no budget. We shot it in a warehouse in the Valley, and it was just so fun because all these great writers wrote these great scripts based on Fred's material, Lucas's material, and he just was so funny. Lucas was naturally funny. Lucas didn't know who Pee Wee Herman was. I mean, he did, but he didn't like create Fred based on all these kind of comedic stereotypes, or not stereotypes, legends. He created a character, and he pitched up the voice because he wanted it to be faster, and he didn't want it to be him, and he edited it that way, with the jump cut editing, because he just wanted it to move faster. So it was all for him very instinctual, but it was so funny and so specific. So doing that show was great, because I got to take the style that he had created and they had created on the first two movies and put it in the show, and anything goes. If it was funny and weird, that we could do it. And then they had Fred 3, which was a camp movie, and
Yeah, I've seen that.
Brian asked me to do that, and that was a blast. That was 13 years ago now. And
Wow.
we shot that on a very low budget, but it came out so well. And then there was going to be another season 2 of Fred, but that didn't work out. And
A
I,
shame.
I know Lucas is doing well, but I haven't talked to him in years. I would love to.
Yeah.
Well, I know you also did Ned Declassified for Nickelodeon.
I did.
Mm,
I did. Did you guys like Ned's? Were you Ned fans?
yes. I have a friend who loves Ned.
Devin.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I was a big Ned fan, and you know that the cast members of Ned's Declassified have their own podcast too.
A great one.
Mm.
It's a great podcast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they were trying to get a Ned's movie going, and I
Yeah.
heard Scott Fellows, the creator of Ned's, he and I are good friends, and he did Big Time Rush and 100 Things to Do Before High School.
Oh
But
yeah, I've seen that show.
he's told me the plot of what they were pitching for the movie, and it just sounded so fun. Yeah, I only got to do a couple of those because I came in on season 3, and that was my first Directors Guild of America job. Scott gave me the chance. I was doing all this. I was doing Lazytown, and he had seen Lazytown, so he's like, "Wow, if you could do Lazytown, I'm sure you can do this show." But also, Brown Johnson had really recommended me to Scott. And Brown was the reason. She was like, "You need to hire him. You need to hire him." So Scott gave me my chance on the kind of older Nick world.
Mhm.
I'd worked with on You Pick Live. I'd worked with every single actor, but I hadn't. That was considered shorter programming, not longer programming. And Nick Jr. was considered Nick Jr. and Big Nick was different. It's not like that anymore, but it was very segmented.
Yeah.
Scott said, "Yeah, let's try it," and we did it. And gosh, I loved that show. And then it didn't come back for a 4th season, so it was like bummer. But then when Scott did Big Time Rush, I got in very early on season 1, and me and Savage Steve Holland and a few other directors were kind of the main directors there for how many seasons did we do? 3 of Big Time Rush or 4? I'm not sure. Maybe 4. And that show was a blast. And then after that, Scott wanted to do a movie called 100 Things to Do Before High School, so I directed that, which became a series.
Yeah, I've seen the series.
And that was a great series too, but didn't go on as long as
Yeah.
we would like. But
Mm.
yeah, and
Yeah, and also from doing my research,
You worked for Cartoon Network for Out of Jimmy's Head.
mm-hmm.
yeah,
And Out of Jimmy's Head, I did. So Cartoon Network used to be all cartoons, right? And then everyone
Yes,
kept
yeah, I
trying
remember
live.
that.
They kept trying to do live action. So they did a few different ones, but I was brought in for Out of Jimmy's Head, and they were like, "This is the first live action show Cartoon Network has ever had." It's not exactly true. That show was crazy and so much fun. And I worked with Tim McKeon, Tim McKeon went on to create the Odd Squad and the Helpsters. And, so again, him and Adam have written a bunch of stuff together. So I did that show. And then a few years later, Cartoon Network had stopped doing live action, and they came back and they're like, "Hey, we're doing the first live action show on Cartoon Network." And it really wasn't, but it was Level Up. Which, if you haven't seen Level Up, you guys should watch it. It's fun. And I worked on that with Pete Morietta and a guy named Derek Geely. And right now, actually, right before I met with you, Derek Geely and I are pitching a new show to Disney together. So
Wow.
and when you connect, you keep working together.
Mm-hmm.
and also from doing research, since I read on Wikipedia that you did that you were doing pre-show for the 2009 and 2010 Kids Choice Awards.
I did we called it the Orange Carpet Show, like my wall.
Yeah.
And that I actually did it for 10 years. I don't know why it's only there for 1 year. But so the Kids Choice Awards is the biggest watched show. It's like the Super Bowl of Nickelodeon.
Yeah, yeah, for kids.
For kids, yes. So the most ratings. But what they do is just like at the Oscars, you have the red carpet show. What are you wearing and what are you excited about with all the celebrities?
Uh-huh.
We did the orange carpet show. And because I was doing You Pick Live, the hosts of You Pick Live, Brent and Candace, and Pick Boy and Antonio and Garbaggio, they would do the interviews on the orange carpet. So I ended up producing, and that, I got to tell you, that was so fun because it would be like 27 segments over 2 hours. So there'd be new SpongeBob's and promos for the Jack Black hosting or Justin Timberlake hosting the
Yeah.
Kids Choice Awards, and we would be on the carpet ready. And if Will Smith was there, or if Mike Myers, or now it's all influencers, but then it was like Bruce Willis and movie stars, Justin Timberlake. We would get them and we'd interview them live, and we had to finish exactly at 7:59:59 because at 8 o'clock the Kids Choice Awards started, and that was the highest rated moment ever. So it was like this crazy, crazy stressful like 2 hours, but it was always so fun. And I did it from 2005 I did it for 10 years. So what's that? To 2014. I was the producer of that and I loved it. Every March or April, I would get to do that on a Saturday, and that was so great.
Yeah.
So I know you worked for Playhouse Disney for Johnny and the Sprites.
I did.
Yeah.
And Imagination Movers.
Oh, yes, that too.
I did the pilot for that. And I also did Ooh and Ah. I don't know if you saw Ooh and Ah.
Oh, yes.
I did. The funny story about Ooh and Ah is they had they're this great puppeteer team and company in Canada, and I got a call saying they needed to reshoot some of the episodes, and those were wraparounds too, just like You Pick Live and Play Along. They were just around the Disney Playhouse programming, but the puppets are only this big. They're hand puppets. They're not like Lazytown puppets are this big, right? And have legs if you need them. Hand puppets are only this big, so you can see if you go up here, you can't. You see that it's a puppet, not a little monkey. And they had shot the original stuff, but the kids seemed too old because they had shot with 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds, and they wanted the kids to be younger. So I was working with 3 and 4-year-olds who are wonderful, but they don't want to sit and do 9 hours of work, right? So we had to play and figure that out. So I did Ooh and Ah, Imagination Movers, which I loved. I love the Movers. They're great. And I did Johnny and the Sprites, which is so great. And Johnny T is so talented, now he's doing a lot of work with Henson. And I think, who were my puppeteers on Johnny and the Sprites? Tim Lagasse, who he and I have done stuff together. And who plays, I'm blanking on her name, but I work with her all the time. I'll find it. Sorry?
Wait,
You're talking about the puppeteer that plays Lily?
Yes.
Oh, she's the same voice that does Rosita on Sesame Street.
Yes, Rosita, yes. And I'm blanking. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. And why am I blanking on her name? It's only because I'm getting old. Let's see. Who were the puppeteers when I was there? Because I got to do a bunch of fun. Oh, it's Leslie. I'm sorry. It's Leslie Carrera Rudolph. It was Tim Lagasse. Lily was Carmen.
yeah.
Carmen.
Yeah.
Awesome. I was thinking of Leslie, but Leslie was Ginger. And then Heather, who was on Lazytown and who was on Play Along, she was Root, the little cute one. So that was, again, I got to work with a lot of people who are involved with Sesame. I have never worked officially with Sesame, but I've worked with all the kind of puppeteers and writers. We just haven't I haven't been on a specific Sesame production.
Yeah, and also going back to Nick Jr., you also directed episodes for the Fresh Beat Band.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And again, those are lifelong friends. I have Christmas. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, but that show only
Lasted for 3 seasons.
Mm.
And then it became an animated show, Fresh Beat Band of Spies, which was
Uh-huh.
so the creators of that are Scott Kraft and Nadine Vanderbeek, and they are a husband and wife team, and they're great friends. And the funny story behind that is I was creating a show for Nick Jr. at the same time. So there were 3 possible shows for Nick Jr. And they did not take mine, but then they said, but maybe you could direct the pilot for it was called the Jumpits. The
The, the jump
Jumpits.
around. The jump arounds.
Jump arounds, then it became Jumpits, then it landed on Fresh Beat Band. It had 3 names.
Yeah.
I met with them and they were like, well, this guy had a competing show. And I'm like, well, they had a competing show, but I read their script. And I was like, oh, I see why Nick Jr. is making this show. It's so great. And to this day, every Christmas, I have dinner with Scott and Nadine and Twist. Twist and
Wow.
his wife and their kids who I've seen grow up. They were like, young when we were doing the show. So, yeah, I did the pilot for the Jump Arounds. Then it briefly became the Jump Bits, and then because of a legal thing there was a local kids band that was called some. Maybe they were the Jump Bits. I'm not sure. Oh no. Okay, I got it now. First name of the show was the Beatkins. It was called the
Wow.
Beatkins. Then it became the Jump Arounds, and then Jump Bits was a band, a local band, and so there was no confusion. We went back and reshot like anytime we said they were Jump Arounds and made them the Fresh Beat Band. And I mean, John, who's Twist, and Shout, who's Thomas, and
Yvette.
Yvette, and well, it was originally it became Tara, but originally it was I'm gonna blank on her name. So talented, and they have become lifelong friends. They hang out at my kids' birthday parties, So my kids were having, Kiki hang out with them on their birthday when they were 3.
Wow, that's amazing.
So cool.
amazing.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
So what was it like directing a Loud House Christmas?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I said Lazytown was hard, right?
yeah,
A Loud House Christmas was probably one of my hardest productions for a bunch of reasons. One, right smack dab in the middle of the pandemic. We were
Oh
trying to
yeah.
get when people were like, oh, it's going to be 1 month, it's going to be 2 months, it's going to be. So it got postponed until we all figured out what was going on with COVID, right?
Yeah.
But I had to cast all my cast via Zoom, and I had to find kids that looked like the kids from the animated show. So I never got to see them all together until the 4th day of shooting, where they came down I never met them until they showed up in Atlanta, and that's the other thing that's hard that I'll talk about. We were shooting in Atlanta in the summer for a Christmas movie. Everything was green and hot, but I met. I could go into the trailer with a mask on and talk to them while they had a mask on. I had seen their faces via Zoom, but I always joked I didn't know if any of them had legs, like they could have been centaurs from below the waist, because this is all we saw of each other. And I didn't know how tall they were. Would they be the right size, really? So I had sizing charts, because the Loud House is very specific, right? It starts with Lily and it goes up to Lori. And so I met with each one of them individually, and I had done, a table read via Zoom, but I had never seen them. And so on the 3rd day of shooting, I think, or the 4th, it's 90 degrees, and we're shooting the big snowball fight, the end scene of the movie. And I really wanted real snow. And so we had an ice machine that was pumping out snow and making it fall, because it only had to be around the house, right? Lisa made a machine that made it snow right over the. And I looked up, and down this hill came my cast in costume, in hair and makeup, in wigs. And I was like, oh my God, I have the Loud House family. And then they were all so excited to be with each other. I was like, all right, we got to work. Get in here, have this snowball fight, do this, say these lines before everything melts. So that was hard because it was the pandemic. It was also hard because you have 13 kids in most of the scenes, right? And it's hard. Like in the animated show, one of the famous, shots is the dad calling dinner, everybody, and then the stairs, right? And 13 down the stairs like a herd of cattle. Getting 13 real people to run downstairs quickly is really hard. Making sure everybody had lines, hair and makeup was set, wigs. It was really tricky, and it was hot and sweaty in Georgia in the middle of the pandemic. However, the cast was so amazing and the script was so good. And that was like the highest rated kids and family viewing that year. It beat everything. I think it might have even beat the Kids' Choice Awards, which was crazy. So that became a series, and we ended up doing 40 episodes of that. And then I did the Halloween movie too, A Really Haunted Loud House. And I loved it. I loved all those kids, and I was with them and the parents. The parents were awesome, Brian and Jolie. But I got to, like, Wolfie, who is Lincoln Loud, was one of his first jobs, and I got to see him grow up to a 16-year-old through all that. And it was very special. It was pretty much for 2.5 years, all I was doing was Loud House.
Wow, that's amazing. So, since it just so happens that both me and Stephanie here happen to be bilingual.
Ah,
Yeah, because because since I know you saw my episode with Hillary and Travis, yeah, but I'm not sure if you saw me singing Selena.
I did not. You sang Selena. I missed that part. That's awesome.
Because I was very much influenced by Selena Quintanilla.
Okay.
Yeah, so would it be okay if I sing some Selena for you?
Love it.
Okay. Quien copa que te da tu padre y tu mamá, aquí solo impoda nuestro amor. Te quiero, amor prohibido, murmuran por las calles, porque somos distintas sociedades. Amor prohibido nos dice todo el mundo, en idea buen poeta en ti en mí. Miele corazón. Oh, baby.
That's awesome. Woo! See if I can get you some fireworks. Sometimes when my AI's on, I can create fireworks. Oh, I didn't do it.
Yeah, so what's next? What are you doing these days?
Good question. You reminded me of my family there. I hear your queens, which I love. You sound just like my sister. What's next, John? So right now, I just did some episodes for Disney for a new show that'll be out in September called Vampirina. And I think it's out in September, but I did some episodes, which is great. It's based on the animated show, but it's a live action show and it's super cool. And then I did a movie called My Weird School, which is based on the My Weird School books. And it's a really funny, slightly scary kind of action comedy movie that's going to be on Nickelodeon Paramount Plus. And then I am pitching a show to Disney based on a book of an author that I like a lot. And I am going to Canada to work on a show that's a reboot of a very favorite Nickelodeon show, but it's still a secret. But it won't be a secret soon, but I'll be helping reboot a classic Nickelodeon show.
Yes, you know that I literally cannot stop smiling. Jonathan, this has been so much fun. And yeah, because I know that Travis and Hillary will be watching this too. And they say hi.
Hi, Travis. Hey, Hill.
Yeah. I mean, we had a really fun conversation, and I'm really glad that you enjoyed that episode.
Thank you. All good people. You have so many good people on your show, and thanks for doing this. I love that you love these shows, and I love that you like talking to the people who help bring them to life. So thank you. And thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, and you know that me and Stephanie are very happy to call you a friend of ours now.
I appreciate that. Same here.
Yeah.
Same.
So thank you guys so much for watching Nostalgia Pride podcast, and remember that memories of nostalgia will help you build your nostalgia pride. We'll see you real soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See you next
Thank
time.
you.